Points did not come easily for either team tonight. How would you assess your guys' defensive performance, and also how's Justin doing?
Yeah, well, I think we had to win it with our defense. Those were two pretty solid defensive teams going at it. And I know we didn't shoot it well and didn't do great offensively, but they make it hard for you. And I look, and we only had 2 turnovers. I think that was significant in this. And I know we ended up taking some bad shots, but we made them earn. And it was just a hard slugfest defensive game. I told our guys before, you're going to have to put your hard hat on and you're going to have to work defensively. And they got some guys who can make some plays. And I thought Darian did a real good job, guarding against Trez, and it was one of those games, and the home crowd was terrific. We needed every ounce of emotion and energy that they gave us, and then our guys dug deep and came up with a big one. Justin, we'll find out. He obviously, I don't even exactly know how he did it, what he did, but we've got Dr. Charbonne's one of the finest hand surgeons in the country. He'll look at him, they'll diagnose him, and we'll get a feel for what's going on. But obviously, I'm concerned that he couldn't come back in. So I talked to the team. I did an interview on the court after, so I didn't get a chance to get briefed exactly on what's going on. But I'm not hopeful that he couldn't come back in. I'm sure there's going to have to be something done.
Yeah, Tony, when Justin wasn't available for the second half and you came out to start the second half with Evan in there, I guess you had a few other options. What made you think Evan was the best choice?
Well, I went with Evan for this game first off the bench. I've been going with Marielle usually as the first guard. There was a good matchup with Blackshear for Evan, and I just thought in this setting, in this game, experience and his smarts could come in big. And then, the fact that he knocked down a 3 when we were 2 of 14 from 3, it was a big 3 for us. And so I just thought he did a good job defensively, and I thought his smarts were there. And again, Louisville's so hard because sometimes they're in man, sometimes it's a matchup, then it's a 2-3. They make it hard, and again, you have to figure stuff out, get to spots, move the ball. And again, I liked what Evan gave us, but depending upon what happens with Justin, Marielle and Devin, that's what I say, you always got to be ready. And I thought we got certainly a good lift from Evan, and Isaiah gave us a good lift. I think he just got an inadvertent elbow when they were running down and seemed a little fuzzy, so we just rode those guys at the end.
Louisville shot 19% in the first half, 52% in the second half. What do you think the difference was? And, numbers-wise, the second half sounds like Duke, but they weren't hitting all those threes.
Yeah, I think we were really good in the first half defensively. We were swarming, we were contesting. And then the second half, they got a couple times, they broke us down off the dribble. They rejected a ball screen, beat us outside, started making plays. Those 2 guards are so hard to contain. And when we got up, they got in a little more of, and I don't want to say desperation mode, but a little more like, all right, we got to put our head down and go. And then we had a little trouble. I thought they compromised our pack defense. But first half, it was real challenging. In the second half, they made some plays. But, again, we were good enough defensively to come out with that one.
Tony, fairly late, you called a timeout, and it appeared you drew up the 3 from the left corner for Malcolm. He hadn't made a shot really all night. What were you looking for there, or something you had noticed that you might be able to get?
Yeah, we looked at it. It's a little set that we have, and if he doesn't have the shot, we've got an action out of it. And sometimes it's a little bit of a guessing match because we looked at it another time, and they slipped into more of a zone, and we couldn't quite get what we wanted, though London did get a good shot in the lane, a little fall away. But just something we thought, if it's there, we're going to take it. If not, we had another action, and it was a big shot again that he hit. We didn't shoot it particularly well, that's obvious, but that was a big one.
Tony, you kind of touched on the defense in the first half. I talked to a couple of people at halftime. We've seen a lot of games around here, so that's as good a half of defense they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Was it as good as defense as you had?
Yeah, it was close. I'll have to look certainly at the tape and all that. And in the crowd, you could hear the noise as the shot clock went down. I noticed that. I usually am so locked into what was going on. But we took them to late in the shot clock. We contested. We bothered. And there were some of those that were real nice. Again, the second half, it wasn't there. Again, if you could play that kind of D in the second half, that would have been something. But that was a pretty special defensive first half, it appeared. And, again, sometimes you go back and look at the film and you see where there are some holes. But it looked like we were covering for each other and closing down and bothering stuff. And, again, I like that. Again, a lot of people maybe that doesn't appeal to, but I was very happy with it.
Would you have thought early in his career, maybe even as recently as last year, that Darian would have had the poise and the confidence to take and make a shot like he did late, that jump hook he did?
Yeah, if you remember when we went to Wisconsin, he was a second year. And he played a terrific game, and then he had some trouble. He got the stress fracture or stress reaction. He was really coming. He has that natural bounce, that natural little touch on he hits, and then he has a little fall away jump hook, and he's really worked hard to develop it. He's always had the quickness, the shot blocking ability, and that. And just to see him at times be frustrated, but hang in there, keep developing, and now having these opportunities to establish himself on both ends of the floor is very rewarding for me as a coach, our staff, and I know it is for him. And we're just going to keep pushing him. But yeah, offensively, he does have some touch. You could see that at times with some of his little flip jump hooks, or he kind of freezes a guy and gets off. But that one he sort of spun, and his touch came up big. And like I said, we needed all of it for sure.
Jeff mentioned Darian's jump hook there late. How veteran a move was it for Nolte to pass up that three
It was.
in the right corner early in the shot clock, milk more clock, and get you a better look?
Yeah, I know the crowd was, oh, shoot, but you look at time and score and possession, and that's the experience that I was talking about and the neck up stuff that you need a guy to think about it. He had made his last one, and everybody said, well, you should, but he let the clock. We ate a little more. I think it went, I don't know how much we took off, and then we got it to him late. Huge play, because that was turning into a possession game, and caught a break with a young man missing, was it Rozier missing the free throw? That was big. That would have taken it to a 2-point game. And then again, we finally finished at the free throw line. So heads up play, great finish by Darian, but the play leading up to that to pass up the shot, I think, was really smart.
Tony, you've had 8 pretty heavy-duty days here. Have you learned something about this team in the last 8 days you didn't know?
I mean, yeah, I told them, I used the saying, when you whip a donkey, it kicks. When you whip a thoroughbred, it responds. And we talked about that. And just, I've used that before. I might even said it to you guys before. And I'm not saying we got whipped against Duke, but we, in some ways, learned some valuable lessons, and then we had to respond in a tough setting at Carolina. Then we had to come back, and I didn't want our guys to assume, oh, okay, we're back on track. No, you were going to have to scrap and fight for everything, and they responded. And as I always tell them, when they play for each other, I thought we really played for each other offensively at Carolina and pretty good defensively. I thought defensively we played for each other at a high level for the majority of the game, except some of those breakdowns in the second half. But they responded and they played for each other, and that's our way. We have good individual talent, and I said when you guys are right and playing for each other, I'll take you against most anybody, and I loved what I saw in that regard.